We go to Dr. Ami Bera of California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses. Everything you say is buried in my own story. My mom immigrated from India in the 1950s, went to school in the 40s as a female. It was unheard of from her village, but only was allowed to do so because she had a father that thought it was important. So I think it's incredibly important. And then had a father that supported her, immigrating to the United States to continue her education along with my father. I'm the youngest of three boys. My mom became a public school teacher. And this is incredibly personal as a father of a daughter as well. When I returned to India in August as a member of Congress, we had a chance to visit an organization in Mumbai called Sneha. It is run by professional women focused on the slums in Mumbai. And they specifically pointed out in our conversation that one of their key strategies is to work with boys. And I think all three of you mentioned the importance of getting to men, to boys early, and over time changing the value and the culture of how they view girls and women. Certainly they're working with girls, but I would not underestimate that just focusing on girls will not lead to the long-term change that we'd like to see. And I'd be curious, both in Pakistan and Afghanistan as well, if you want to expand on that. Maybe, Doctor, you could start.
Certainly, this has been something that has come out of our research, that women's programming, inclusive of girls, is more successful when men are engaged and are change agents in the process. I would say also societies coming out of a violent conflict are particularly vulnerable to this concept of hyper-masculinities, where they have a gun and it helps establish their status. How do we start unlearning that kind of violence? That is a whole set of educational and training processes that include curriculum change that is vital for a new identity of what it means to be a really holistic man in society beyond the gun in which once their identity was established. So this is, though, it goes hand in hand as a holistic society.
Right. Ms. Khan, would you like to expand on?
Again, I agree with Dr. Kurnas entirely. I think because we are trying to change all of society, necessarily the young boys have to be included. But that's actually a place where mothers are very influential, right? Because they are the ones who, for the first formative years, are the ones who are, they are the ones who are, they are the guardians of culture and social norms. Right? So they are actually able to impart those values, right? Which means they have to learn it themselves, that actually women's education is important, that the young man who's going to grow up has to recognize it's important for his sisters, for the women around him, and he has to be a part of helping that. Your mother's story, your story is actually very similar to mine. The reason I was able to come here when I was 16 to start university was because my father was behind it. There's no way he would have said, it would have happened without full support that, okay, no, education is important enough for you to take, to break social norms and make that difference. So.
One Nigerian activist said, the home is the first school and the mother is the first teacher. So again, as my colleagues have said, it is very important to be dealing with both sides of the population at once, and to make sure that the women are empowered and educated and being able to influence their children, and then being able to influence the dynamic in their home and thereby within their communities. So I think both genders are very, very important to further this agenda.
Great. Since I'm short on time, another aspect that we've had a hearing on in our subcommittee is on sex-selective abortion, and really moving it out of the realm of reproductive rights, but into the realm of really educating populations on the value and worth of girls as well. And that probably is more of a public relations effort. And certainly in India, you're seeing some of it. Or do you have any recommendations on that or thoughts on, again, how you change that value?
Well, both in talking about security and then this point that you bring up, in some ways we lack imagination in the way that we can use technology, social platforms for productive means. And I think that we sometimes over-focus on the security side without being imaginative to how to get around these problems. And certainly when it comes to education, we have opportunities through cell phones, through other means, and certainly television and radio. And I think, we don't think enough in that kind of public relations side.
Great. Thank you, and thanks for helping us imagine.